Every time you react, you hand someone else the controls to your life. Think about that. The person who can make you angry owns your peace. The comment that ruins your afternoon was written in 3 seconds by someone who's already forgotten it. The slight that lives in your head, rent-free, was, to them, nothing. And yet here you are, replaying it, defending yourself in imaginary arguments, losing sleep, losing focus, losing yourself. Not because of what happened, because of how you reacted to what happened. You've been taught your whole life that reacting is natural, that expressing every feeling is healthy, that you should say what's on your mind, defend yourself, set the record straight, never let anyone disrespect you. And it sounds right, it feels right, but it is quietly making you weak, poor, and easy to control. And almost no one will tell you why. This isn't motivation. Nobody's going to tell you to just stay positive or let it go. This is something a man understood 2,300 years ago, a man so coldly precise about power and human nature that historians today call him the Chinese Machiavelli. Except he came 1,500 years before Machiavelli was born. His name was Han Fei. He advised kings in an age where showing the wrong emotion at the wrong moment could end your life. And what he understood about reaction, silence, and control is going to change how you move through the world. By the end of this, you're going to see your own reactions as the single greatest leak of power in your life, and you're going to know how to seal it. Let's start with the mechanism. Why does reacting cost you so much? Han Fei's core insight was this: the moment people can see what moves you, they can move you. He taught that a ruler must never let his ministers see what he loves, what he fears, or what angers him, because the instant they know, they stop serving you and start playing you. Show them what you love, and they'll dangle it to control you. Show them what enrages you, and they'll provoke it on command whenever they need you off balance. Your visible emotions, he said, are handles, and every handle you expose is a grip someone else can take. Now bring that out of the ancient court and into your actual life, because it operates on you exactly the same way. The coworker who knows which comment makes you defensive, they've found a handle. The family member who knows exactly which words make you explode, handle. The stranger online who discovers that a certain insult gets a rise out of you, handle. Every reaction you show is a lesson you teach other people about how to control you. You are, without realizing it, publishing the user manual to your own mind. And the people who wish you harm read it carefully. The person who does not react is, to all of them, unreadable. And the unreadable person cannot be steered. When you don't take the bait, the manipulator has nothing to pull. When you don't flinch, the intimidator has no power. When you don't explain yourself to people who were never going to understand, you starve the conflict of the only fuel it had, your engagement. Non-reaction isn't passivity. It's the removal of every handle you were handing out for free. Pause for a second and think about one person in your life who knows exactly how to get a reaction out of you. Just picture them. Now understand, that reaction is a button you installed and handed them the wiring to. One word for how it feels to know that. Hold it. Because most people never once realize they built the very buttons that others press. Now, Han Fei went deeper than just hide your anger. He understood that there are levels to this, and I want to walk you through them, because each one seals a different leak. The first level is the most obvious. Do not react to provocation. Someone insults you, disrespects you, tests you, and the amateur move, the move everyone makes, is to fire back, to defend, to prove they can't treat you that way. But watch what happens when you fire back. You've just confirmed that their words reached you. You've shown them the strike landed. Han Fei understood that the counterattack is itself a form of surrender. It announces that you were hit. The truly powerful response to provocation is often nothing at all. A calm, unbothered nothing, because nothing tells them the arrow didn't even reach the wall. And there is no move more infuriating to someone trying to provoke you than the discovery that they simply cannot. Consider how the most powerful figures in history handled attacks. The ones who lasted were rarely the ones who answered every insult. They were the ones who let the noise pass through them, who understood that responding to every provocation is exhausting and reveals too much, while silence keeps them a mystery. And a mystery is far more intimidating than a man shouting back. Every time you refuse to react, you become slightly more unknowable, and the unknowable person holds a strange power over everyone around them. The second level is subtler. Do not react to good fortune either. This one surprises people. We understand hiding anger, but Han Fei taught that revealing your excitement, your desire, your joy over a win is just as dangerous, because the moment people see what delights you, they see what you want, and what you want is the lever they'll use. Show a negotiator how badly you want the deal, and you've lost it. Show the world how thrilled you are about an opportunity, and you've invited everyone to compete for it or take it from you. The composed person who receives good news with the same calm as bad news gives away nothing. Their steadiness isn't coldness, it's control. They've understood that every strong reaction, positive or negative, is information leaving your body and entering the hands of people who may not have your interests at heart. The third level is the deepest, and it's the one that separates the truly self-possessed from everyone else. Do not even react on the inside the way you react on the outside. This is where most advice stops, because it's the hardest. Anyone can learn to fake a calm face while boiling underneath. But that's just suppression, and suppression leaks. It shows in the tight jaw, the clipped voice, the eyes. Han Fei's deeper teaching was that the master doesn't just hide the reaction. He genuinely doesn't have it, because he has understood something that makes the provocation meaningless. And what is that understanding? It's the recognition that most of what provokes you is not actually about you at all. Let me explain, because this is the key that unlocks real, effortless non-reaction. The person who insulted you was managing their own pain, their own insecurity, their own bad day. The driver who cut you off doesn't know you exist. The critic online is performing for an audience that isn't you. Almost every provocation you take personally was never personal. It was someone else's internal weather, and you just happened to be standing in the rain. Han Fei understood that people act from their own interests and their own nature, not from careful calculations about you. Once you truly see that, the sting disappears. Not because you suppressed it, but because you understood it away. You stop taking the arrows personally because you finally see that they were never aimed at you specifically. They were just fired into the world, and you walked into the path. This is the difference between the person who has to bite their tongue 100 times a day, exhausted from swallowing reactions, and the person who simply isn't disturbed in the first place. The first is suppressing. The second has understood. And understanding is the only version of this that lasts. Now let's talk about what non-reaction does for you. Because this isn't just about avoiding harm. It's about accumulating power. Think about who you find impressive. Almost universally, it's people who seem unshakable. The leader who stays calm when everyone panics. The person who receives insults with a slight smile. The negotiator who never seems desperate. We are magnetically drawn to composure because composure signals control, and control signals power. When you stop reacting, you don't just protect yourself. You become the calmest presence in the room, and the calmest presence in the room is almost always the most powerful one. People instinctively defer to those who cannot be rattled. They bring their conflicts to the composed, They follow the ones who don't flinch. There's a financial dimension to this too, and it's not small. Reaction is the enemy of every good money decision ever made. The market drops, and people panic sell. A reaction. Something exciting appears, and people rush in at the top. A reaction. The person who can sit still while others react emotionally is the person who buys what the reactors are dumping and sells what the reactors are chasing. Fortunes move constantly from the reactive to the composed. The ancient Chinese merchant sage Fan Li built 3 fortunes on exactly this principle. Buy when the crowd panics, sell when the crowd is greedy. He could do it because he had mastered the one thing they hadn't. He did not react. The crowd's fear and greed were reactions. His wealth was the reward for not sharing them. Look at how the greatest investors describe their edge. It's almost never intelligence. They'll tell you that themselves. It's temperament, the ability to be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful, as one of the most successful investors alive puts it. That is non-reaction, stated as an investment strategy. The money doesn't flow to the smartest person in the market. It flows to the least reactive one. Pause again here, because this one matters. Think about the last time a reaction cost you something real. Money, a relationship, a reputation, an opportunity. Play it back. Was it the event that cost you, or was it your reaction to the event? Be honest. One word. Hold it. Because for most people, almost every serious wound in their life was self-inflicted in the moment of reaction. Now, I want to be careful here, because this teaching gets twisted, and the twisted version will hurt you. Non-reaction does not mean becoming cold, empty, or dead inside. It does not mean never feeling anything, never caring, never letting anyone close. That's not power. That's just a different kind of prison. Han Fei was writing about how a ruler holds power in a court full of enemies, and the mistake people make is applying that armor everywhere, all the time, until they can't take it off. The goal is not to feel nothing. The goal is to stop leaking your reactions to people who would use them against you, while staying fully alive to the people and moments that deserve your real self. Non-reaction is a tool you use in the arena, not a mask you fuse to your face. The person who armors up against everyone forever hasn't achieved control. They've just found a lonelier way to be controlled, by their own fear of being seen. So the real skill isn't to never react. It's to choose, to decide consciously who gets your reactions and who doesn't. The provocateur gets nothing. The manipulator gets nothing. The stranger's insult gets nothing. But the people who've earned your trust, the moments that call for your full presence, those still get all of you. That is discernment, and discernment is the mature form of this power. The child suppresses everything or expresses everything. The master chooses. Let me give you the practical shape of it, because philosophy without application is just entertainment. When something provokes you, there's a gap, a small one, between the stimulus and your response. Most people don't know the gap exists. They collapse it instantly, stimulus to reaction, with nothing in between. The entire practice is learning to live in that gap, to feel the pull to react, and just for a breath, not. In that breath, you ask one question: does reacting here serve me or serve them? If firing back gives your enemy exactly what they wanted, the answer chooses itself. That single pause, that refusal to be automatic, is where all your power lives. A reaction is something that happens to you. A response is something you choose. And the space between those two words is the space between being controlled and being free. Over time, this pause becomes who you are. You stop being a set of buttons that anyone can press and become something much harder to move and much harder to look away from. People will feel it. They'll describe you as calm, as centered, as someone who has something about them. What they're sensing is simply the absence of the leaks that make everyone else so easy to read and so easy to move. So let's go back to where we started. You, replaying the slight, defending yourself in arguments that only exist in your head, handing your peace to people who never earned it. That was never the only option. The event happened, yes, but everything after the event, the hours of turmoil, the lost sleep, the drained focus, that was the reaction, and the reaction was always yours to keep or release. You were never as powerless as the feeling made you seem. The power was in the pause the whole time. You just were never taught to look for it. So don't think about how to win the next argument. Think about who you're becoming, not a person who has to be dragged into every conflict that's offered to them. Someone who watches the bait float past, unbothered, unreadable, and free, because they finally understood that the one who does not react is the one who cannot be controlled. And here's the thing. Han Fei was one of an entire generation of Chinese minds who mapped exactly how power and human nature actually work. The strategists who moved kingdoms without raising their voices. The merchants who built fortunes by staying calm while others panicked. We're decoding every one of them, one mind at a time. If this showed you even one place where your reactions have been leaking your power, then you already understand why most people will spend their whole lives being pressed like buttons, exhausted and controlled, and calling it just being honest. A few will find the pause instead. Decide which one you are.